I'd like to welcome everybody to our Elmore County Commission work session dated Monday, July 10, 2017. We have a lot of special guests with us today. We appreciate the elected officials who are joining us and will participate later in our meeting. We will proceed with our regular business. A review of the minutes of the June 26, 2017 Commission meeting. Any corrections? Any comments or corrections? Moving forward, review the memorandum of warrants for the period of June 8, 2017 through June 21, 2017. Ms. McDuffie?
Yes, Chairman. The memorandum of warrants for the period stated equaled $1,567,104.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All right, we'll proceed with our old business. It's the continuation of the notice of meeting on July 24, 2017 at 5 p.m. to consider the adoption of an ordinance regulating sale of alcoholic beverages on Sundays in Elmore County. This is part of the process of us advancing this to enact this ordinance, which will take effect on August the 1st, 2017. We will have further discussion on that particular ordinance and that topic at our next meeting. And if there are any comments right now, we can discuss those. I think we're all pretty clear. It's been advertised in the papers in accordance with the requirements, correct? Jeff?
Yes, sir, it has.
Thank you. All right, proceeding with new business, we first would like to invite Senator Clyde Chambliss to come up to the podium here. He's going to provide us with a legislative update. I've seen he's done this at other commission and council meetings and across the river region. Next year we'll be first on the list.
Well, I tried to make it first this time, and the schedule just didn't work out. I was out of town at y'all's meeting when I wanted to be here last time, but you're certainly not last. But I'm proud to have a little bit of your time tonight and give you an update and answer any questions should you have any. As you know, we finished our legislative session for this year. There's discussion about a special session, but we can talk about that in a minute. Contrary to what you might hear, my opinion is that we did have quite a productive session, actually. There's always a lot of bills that do not get all the way through the process, and a lot of folks will look at those and say we don't do anything. And you know, that's understandable, but if you all had, I see probably 20 items on your agenda tonight. If you had 2,000, you probably wouldn't get through with all of them. So it's a function of how many bills. We had about 1,000 bills that were introduced, and we passed about 300 of them. Some people will say that's too many, and some people will say that's not enough. So it depends on what's in the bills, right? So several things that we did do. Once again, we passed balanced budgets, just like you all have to do here. And there are several good things in there that I would like to highlight. One of the things that we did is we put 30 new state troopers on the road with this budget. Sheriff, that we need probably 300 or even more than that, but we have to have 30 before we get to those higher numbers, and that's a step in the right direction. We also funded our juvenile probation officers. As you all know, we were in danger of layoffs, not only here but across the state. And I worked with our budget chair, and we've been able to get the money in the budgets, both general fund and education funds. So we should be good on our 4 JPOs here in Elmore County, and I'm very, very excited about that. We also increased funding for the courts, and we provided level funding for prisons, Medicaid, DHR, and so you can see from those things what we're putting our priorities on. In years past, we kind of did things across the board. Everybody got the same cut. Everybody got the same increase, and that's not the way we're doing business now. Public safety is of primary importance. That is a primary function of government. So we are putting more money into state troopers and the judicial system so that we can ensure the safety of our public. There are other things that are very, very, very good, but maybe not primary and essential functions of government. We like them, but we have to put it on where we need it the most. We also provided funding for 150 additional teachers, and those will primarily go in the middle school range, where we have a tremendous need of smaller classes, more hands-on-hand, one-to-one instruction. We created 122 new pre-K classrooms, and I will say, I tell most that I was not necessarily sold on the pre-K to begin with, but I knew I was going to have to vote on it, so I went to several schools and visited the pre-K classrooms, and it took me about 15 minutes, not being an educator or psychiatrist or anything like that, but it took me about 15 minutes to see that that program is very, very valuable to those children, and it's reaching children while they're reachable. Sometimes when we wait to the junior high age, it's too late, and that's unfortunate. But that pre-K program, I'm a believer in it. We also increased funding for dual enrollment and increased funding for transportation for schools. There are a lot of other bills that were passed, and I'll just read through a list of some of these. Some are very important. The autism insurance coverage was a very, very important bill. We have a constitutional amendment that will be on the ballot declaring Alabama a right-to-life state. Alabamians can choose. It may or may not make any difference until Roe versus Wade is overturned, but we will be on record should it ever be overturned. We passed bills to protect healthcare workers' right of conscience, banned assisted suicide. We ended judicial override. Sheriff, that one's interesting. I wasn't sure about that one, but when I looked at the statistics, and it was 4 times more likely for a sentence to be overridden during an election year, I could tell that politics entered into that process. Now the jury will decide. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's the way it will be. We banned crossover voting, so if you vote in the primary, Democratic primary, you can't vote in the Republican runoff. If you vote in the Republican primary, you can't vote in the Democratic runoff. We passed a bill that's going to require civics testing in our high schools. People distrust what they don't understand. And you all use a democratic process in your commission meetings, but we are not a democracy. And we need to understand that. We're a representative republic. You all represent the people. I represent the people. So it's very important, and hopefully over time with our young people understanding a little bit more about our civics, it will make for a better society. On and on, there's other bills there. Lisa will be interested. We revamped the Alabama Jobs Act. We passed that a couple of years ago, and it was so very successful that we hit some of our caps and limits right off the bat, so we had to adjust those. There are a lot of bills that did not pass. Some of those include the prison bill. As you all know, we've talked a lot about licensing of religious daycares, permitless pistol carry, legalization of fantasy sports, a gas tax, Uber approval statewide, ban on the use of public funds for school referendums. Those did not make it through. So anyway, a lot of those will be back, and any input and feedback you have on those, I would welcome. So there are obviously a lot of other things going on, and I can talk about the prison bill if anybody's interested in that a little bit and what I see going on there. But if any of the commissioners have any questions, I would entertain those, and then I'll go sit down and let you get back to your business.
Senator Chambliss, thank you for coming. I have one question about the troopers. I presume that'll be an annual thing for the legislature to push for more troopers. I know the Department of Public Safety will ask for more, as they do on a regular basis. I would hope that would continue, because that takes some of the burden off our local sheriff's departments, the more troopers we have on the road. And as you understand, and probably everybody in this room understands, we're in a crisis mode right now with the amount of troopers we have across the state, at least in my lifetime.
I totally agree with you. We've had the wrong priority for a few years. And I think what we see now is we're reversing that trend and going back the other way. I, for one, intend to continue that trend, and I believe we will continue in that same direction. I would love to do 30 a year for 10 or 12 years and get back to where we need to be. You know, all that'll be predicated on funding, obviously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Chambliss, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your hard effort in working on the prison issue this last session. Of course, you know, and we all know what an important industry that is in our county. And I appreciate you going over and above board like you have with this particular issue, and as you would do with most any issue I've seen you work on. I appreciate that. I'll share something that'll prove that. If you knew my early morning habits, it's not unusual for me to be up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, getting my thoughts together and sending emails out. And one morning I sent Senator Chambliss one, and he responded in about 2 minutes. So I guess I'm not the only one that gets up early and to get my day going. So I appreciate what you do. Appreciate you being accessible and always available to us and your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I do have a handout here that I'll pass along to each of you. It kind of summarizes what I've talked about. And on the back of it, it has ways to contact me, my email, cell phone, that kind of thing. I do prefer email because I can do it at 2 or 3 in the morning when I need to. But any of these ways are appropriate. Also, one last thing, and I'll go sit down. At the bottom of this, I was fortunate enough to be selected as the co-chair for the Joint Task Force for Budget Reform, and we're working hard to come up with a comprehensive solution to our state's general fund problems. And if you go to this link on the bottom of this back page, it will take you to our interim report, and it's essentially State Finances 101. If you want to know what our problems are and why we are where we are and that sort of thing, this report details that, and then our next report will be what are we going to do to fix it. So,
Senator, I'd like to also express gratitude to you for your hard work on behalf of the citizens of Elmore County. I know we've talked a lot about prisons, and we've been in meetings together numerous times discussing the prison bill and the circumstances and how it may impact Elmore County. I'd just like to also mention that mental health is very important to us in Elmore County. I know it relates to the prisons, and it's part of the reason that we're going through all of this discussion from the federal courts. But you know, mental health not necessarily related to criminal acts, but just mental health in general, and getting people the treatment that they need in an efficient and timely manner. We've been in some meetings recently and things that I was not aware of where we have deputies responsible for individuals who are not criminals. They're just being committed, and you know, that's taking people off the road. And so not only are we operating at a deficit from a deputy's perspective, but then they're having to fulfill responsibilities that used to be fulfilled by mental health representatives and caseworkers. So as you go through that whole process, I know there's a lot of reform that's expected to take place, but that is a burden that's placed on the counties that, you know, is something that I think that the state in the past has done some things and could assist here.
Right, and I think really we got the cart before the horse is what we did. We were going to go away from aggregate care to community care, but we didn't have the community care in place first. And then we had the recession and all that, and we had closed the aggregate care, and now we're just in a bad situation. So I agree wholeheartedly, and that's something that is on my mind.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you all.
All right, we'll invite Sheriff Bill Franklin to come forward to discuss a grant opportunity.
Fellows, I come to you today to see if you might possibly entertain the thoughts of us, pursuing a grant. It's gonna be one of, President Trump's grants. It's a cops hiring grant. It, would involve us acquiring 2 deputies and the federal government paying 75% of a deputy's salary and benefits. The salary equates to approximately $34,000 a year. The benefits that go along with that, such as the FICA, the Social Security, medical, things of that nature, is about $14,000. So the total package is about $48,000 per year. It would allow us to acquire 2 deputies for a period of 3 years at 75% on each year. That would equate to a savings of about $233,000. We got into pursuing this grant late in the game. I want to tell you, I can't say enough nice things about our analyst over at the Drug Task Force. Grace helped. Grace actually, I apologize, I called her and I did not realize she was in Alaska, and she called me back from Alaska. But we talked briefly on the phone, and she helped me with some numbers. Audrey called me on 4th of July and for 2 weekends. But we tried to do about 30 days of work in 10 days. But we were able to get it in today. I told Grace if we can get it in today, then I would like to talk to y'all tonight. But we got it in at 11:55 this morning, so we had until 4 o'clock today to get it in. But very well written. I don't know, I know Earl is aware of this, but I don't know if some of y'all are. Mac might be, because you were here the last time we pursued a grant. But of our existing deputy staff that we have now, I think 8 of those existing deputies are on grants that we've pursued since 1991. Some of them were through a Cops Ahead grant. Some of them were through a Cops Fast grant. I think we got one additional guy trying to help Elmore in the community or the town of Diesel when they initially formed. So we've got 8 on board right now, and this would give us 2 additional ones. Now, the bad news is, after 3 years, the county commission would have to come up with the funds to keep these guys. So that's the only drawback that we would have. But I can tell you, over 3 years, it's a savings of $233,000 to the county if we did, pursue it. So we can do it either way. But I think if y'all got any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer anything you've got.
I commend you and your staff for working towards these grants and opportunities and researching these things out. I feel that there may be more of these opportunities coming in the years ahead as we look to a state government that is being more proactive with respect to public safety, and also a federal government that appears to be working towards that as well. So there may be additional opportunities. So we encourage you to continue to pursue that, and obviously we do not have any qualms with you pursuing grants that give us an opportunity to increase our public safety for the citizens of the county. Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to say I appreciate your effort, Sheriff Franklin, in doing it. I mean,
it's part of my job. One guy left out, Jeff Courtney. He helped me. I had him on the phone this morning. He was trying to help me, but yeah, that's no problem at all. That's part of it. Just trying to help you, help me.
I do have one more question. Do you know a time frame on when you will?
It's a good question. They did not tell us. From what I've seen in the past, usually within 6 months we'll get something back. I do not, to be honest with you, I do not see this happening by October 1. Of course, we're dealing with a new set of guys up there, Department of Justice, so I do not know. I would think that by probably, I would say January 1, if it goes like all the other grants that we've pursued that have taken place, I think it'll come to fruition somewhere around the 6-month range.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Appreciate it. Right. Well,
we were very fortunate. I think, a few years ago, we pursued that domestic violence grant, and that gave us 4 guys for 3 years, and that's a whole lot of money in savings, but, we were able to retain those guys. But, I appreciate that, and yeah. Well. Right. 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 Yes. I can tell you right now, I know y'all are probably thinking about, well, we've got to put those 2 guys in a vehicle, and I'm trying to work through our asset forfeiture account that we've got and try to pool and keep money back in some of our other accounts that we've got. So if something does happen, I've got some monies where I won't have to come to y'all and ask for a vehicle. I'll have 2 vehicles I can try to, we might have to get something used, but we'll figure it out.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I would like to invite Revenue Commissioner Lee Macon to come forward to discuss this auditing contract.
Yeah, gentlemen, thank y'all. The audit contract is one we do about every 2 to 3 years. It's been 3 years since we did our last one. The last one was through Government Services and Associate, and what they do is they come in and they basically audit our personal property stuff. They go out to a company and they'll do 30 to 40 audits for us, and on those audits they come back and they say they guarantee us to increase tax revenue on these whatever companies, but I'm really not looking at it as that. To me, it's more of an audit our work. Are we doing what's right? Are we when we go out and we look at our taxpayers, are we doing that? And this is a different company. It's Tax Management Associates. They're based in Tennessee, because in Tennessee everybody's required to go be audited by a company. They don't actually have personal property departments like we do Tennessee-wide. So they're actually coming in to check up on our work. Is what I look at it. No different than our collections department downstairs when the state comes in and does an audit. This is what we're bringing in a company to kind of do that for us. So that's kind of really what you have. And Jeff had a copy of the contract. And I think y'all do as well. So, any questions on it, I'll be happy to elaborate. Budget-wise, y'all, this actually comes out of the reappraisal budget. It doesn't come out of the general fund. So I know that's always, I know where that money comes from.
How long of a process will this be?
This will be about a year. The last one drug out about 2 years, and that's why we changed companies. We weren't real pleased with kind of the work, so we kind of did a little more research, found another company, and they should be done in about a year. They won't start until, like I said, this will come in on our new budget cycle. So,
thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I would like to invite Sarah Byard from CarpDeck to come forward and discuss the Crenshaw Village project participation. Sarah, we appreciate you coming and being with us here in Elmore County, and we'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you. I'm here to give an update on the Crenshaw Village Community Development Block Grant. It's proceeding. There have so far been 13 homes assisted with about 30 beneficiaries living in those homes. We are continuing to try to get a few more homes assisted out there, and ideally we would get about 3.5 more homes done before closeout, so that would be ideal. We have on file 5 applications that have been filed some time ago where people just aren't ready to pull the trigger for whatever reason, and we've been following up with them, and we actually are going out tomorrow to look at 2 of those properties. So, and we also canvassed the area on June 12th and passed out a lot of applications as well. Hadn't received any more yet, but we want to recommend that we have a meeting out either in or very near to the project area, so it's easily accessible for people who are living there to come and kind of encourage the last, come take advantage of this here soon while you can, because I know you probably are ready to get this grant closed out and moved on to another one, and the next deadline to close out these type of grants is March 31st of 2018, and if you get that done, then you're eligible to apply again. And so I appreciate any comments or questions that you have.
Sarah, we appreciate you coming and giving us some background on this. This project and grant opportunity was initiated prior to us taking office, so we're not as familiar with the details. But if I understand correctly, you've completed 13 projects and you were set out to do approximately 16?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so you're really looking for 3 more.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a difference between tenant-occupied and owner-occupied projects, correct, in terms of the match?
That's correct.
So of the 13 homes that have been, or projects that have taken place, how many of those are owner-occupied and how many were tenant-occupied?
All of those were owner-occupied. Of the 5 applications that we have, 2, or actually 3 of the 5 are tenant properties, and we're going to look at 2 of those tomorrow. And so ideally we would get 1 or 2 of those, and then we'd be well on our way to where we need to be.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And with respect to the deadline of March 31st, that means the projects, the construction or whatever, remodeling or whatever's being done has to be completed by that time, or contracts have to be signed and...
completed by that time. It's a little different with the housing grants than other construction grants that require you running notices for long periods of time. We don't have that with the housing grant, so we could conceivably be doing work in 2018 and still get it closed out. But we would like to get everything under contract this year. It would be, I think, ideal.
Okay, so your proposal today is for us to, as a county commission, to assist or encourage a meeting in that area, possibly at a church or another community area, that we could advertise and try to get more participants?
Yes. Yes.
Has there been any consideration of expanding the project area?
We have thought about that, and that is an option. I think that with, in talking with everybody in the office today, being that there's about 3 or 3.5 houses that are needing to be done, and we do have some applications and interest, we don't want to recommend doing that at this time. It takes, public hearings and things like that to do it. So I would say if we get, a month or 2 from now and we don't have any, more progress, that we could look at it at that time would be my recommendation.
Okay.
I would try to work with on trying to get a meeting place in that area, and maybe once I get that set up, I can just get in touch with you.
That'd be great.
And I'll try to get one of the churches, and it's just gonna be for that area, just in Crenshaw Village, and not the whole area,
Yes,
just
sir.
the village part.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be getting in touch with you, and I'll try to work that out.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We appreciate you doing that, Commissioner Reeves. Yes, Bob.
How long has this been an active project? I mean, it started before we were here.
It was awarded the last quarter of 2014, but the last quarter of the calendar year of 2014. But by the time all the agreements and paperwork went into effect, it was maybe May or so of 2015.
And this is a CDGB grant, right?
Correct.
So, and of course, the county sponsored it.
Correct.
Can the county have more than one, be a sponsor of more than one of these type grants at the same time?
You can sponsor, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, you can sponsor, this grant that you have now, as well as any economic development CDBG grants where you're assisting job creation. And you can also, sponsor planning fund grants where you do planning work. You can't do another, construction or housing project, at the same time, no. And this money, is specifically to benefit low and moderate income populations, and so it always has to be used either in pockets of low income areas or on the economic development side when there's jobs that are going to be created. So does that answer your question?
Sure, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We appreciate you being here, Sarah. Thanks
Thank
for all
you.
the information.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you. We'll proceed now with the local update of census addresses. I'm going to have Richie Byer comment on this. I did not see Mr. Johnson here. Go ahead, Richie.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Johnson and I actually spoke last Thursday at another meeting held by CarpDeck about this. We received a letter, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, like the day before one of these census meetings, and he was just coming to remind the County Commission that we needed a representative to attend these meetings. And in your packet, I think the next set of meetings is in the October time frame, so I think it would be just imperative for the Commission to find a representative that would attend those meetings and look at the census mapping and addressing. That's really the gist of what he was coming to give a presentation on tonight.
Thank you. All right, we'll proceed with the discussion of the lease agreement with the City of Wetumpka for the use of courthouse grounds for Wetumpka River and Blues Festival on Friday, July 21, 2017. I can comment on this. The festival this year, for the first time, they're having an event on Friday night instead of it all being just on Saturday. And the City of Wetumpka has proposed, in an effort for the revitalization of the downtown district, to have here in front of the courthouse, on the street there, to have a stage and have a concert there to encourage people to visit the downtown businesses. And because there may be some overflow of concert goers or people visiting onto the courthouse grounds, I think traditionally we've granted that lease agreement for the use of that space.
If we lease it to them, is they gonna, as far as the liability and stuff, you know, like insurance and stuff, they gonna take that over with the lease also?
Can you comment on that?
I'm sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead,
not.
Jeff.
I can comment on that.
Okay.
I've reviewed the contract, I reviewed the lease agreement, and the city is holding the county harmless, so they would be responsible for any damages, and there's also another clause specifically about damages as well, so
That's right.
everything appeared to me to be in order.
So this is just a standard lease that the county's used before when an organization would use the property, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
In relation to the lease agreement, Jeff, are there any funds that are gonna be transferred to us? If we're leasing, lease means you pay, generally.
Practically, no, sir, not really. The lease amount is, to what my understanding is in the traditional thing has been the rental of $1. Yes, sir.
All right, any other comments or questions?
No, I don't have any. Just saying, once we have some big event going on here, we might want to rent the Civic Center or something from the city of Wetumpka for it all.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I didn't hear you. Would you say that again?
Oh, I was saying that maybe in the future, if we have some kind of big event going on in Wetumpka, maybe we could rent the Civic Center for $1 or some of the city property or something.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll assign Commissioner Mercer to that project. All right. We'll proceed now with the notification of resignation of Gwendolyn Long from the Elmore County Economic Development Authority Board. We've all received a copy of her resignation letter. Any comments or questions?
I would just like to comment, Gwendolyn Long served for many years on this, the Economic Development Authority. I served with her. I'd just like to say thank you for what she's done for our county, for the organization, and we appreciate her years of service.
Thank you. Proceeding, discussion of the Elmore County Economic Development Authority Board appointment due 8/14/2017. This is obviously in light of Ms. Long's resignation. We will have the task of appointing someone to that board, and the due date there is August 14th. We'll encourage the leadership of ISETA and any others to provide recommendations for candidates, and we can discuss that at our next meeting. In addition to her resignation from ISETA, we also have the notification of resignation from the Elmore County Industrial Development Authority, which goes in conjunction with her ISETA resignation. And then we will also have the responsibility of discussing a board appointment to the Elmore County Industrial Development Authority to replace Ms. Long, also due on August 14th, 2017. Any discussion or comments about any of those at this time? I encourage the commissioners to work with the leadership of ISETA to help identify potential candidates for those positions. All right, we'll proceed with the discussion of budget amendments for the Wetumpka Dispatch contract. Ms. McDuffie?
Yes, Chairman. This contract was signed with the city back in April, and the amounts that are being, the budget amendments are for the salaries and benefits for the dispatchers, 6 dispatchers, as well as some one-time costs for the movement of the equipment and purchase of some of the equipment. The revenue has been coming in from the city, and we've been billing them for their actual expenditures of payroll, and we just did not, back in April, did not adjust the budget. So that's what this is showing, the revenues and expenditures for the dispatcher cost. No cost to the county, just needed budget amendments to show the recording of the revenue and expenditures.
Okay. Any comments or questions there? All right, we'll proceed with the discussion of declaring old air conditioning units from courthouse as surplus and donating to the Elmore County Volunteer Fire Department. Any comments or questions on that?
Yeah, Chairman, I'd just like to add, in my 18 years of being a member of the Elmore Volunteer Fire Department, on the administrative side, I do not fight fire. I know from experience, if there's a decision to buy hose or an air conditioner, the hose is going to be purchased first, I'm sure, by most any volunteer fire department because of limited funds. And when I saw we would be potentially discussing this tonight, I sent an email to the Elmore County Firefighter Association's president, John Wilson, and asked him if there would be some of the departments in the county that would like to have one of these units, since we will be considering surplusing them. And I think the expectation of it being a great revenue source would be rather low. And his response back to me was that there were some departments that would like to have a unit. He stated that Emerald Mountain would like to have 2, Redland Fire Department would like to have 2, and then they were requesting 2 for the Firefighters Association itself. So I would ask if we do so vote to surplus these units, if we could also allocate 5 of the most desirable units to these departments that I mentioned.
Mr. Byer, how many of these units are there?
Mr. Chairman, there's actually 25 that came out of this building, and I won't say that all 25 are suitable to be donated. Some of them are in much better shape than others, and what I would ask is just allow us to hold the 25 until the fire departments have expended all the ones that they want, and then allow us to sell the rest through GovDeals, and that way they can make sure they get all their units and all the information out there, all the fire departments. I think there was a mention before we started about a meeting tomorrow night where they can get some more information out to the different agencies. So, but total there's 25, and I think Jimmy said a handful of those, they're not going to last much longer, so they wouldn't be good candidates to give out.
Would the association have a list of the ones that the fire department did? That's what you were saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I've already got the list of the ones that are, the departments that have already said they'd like to have some units. There is a meeting tomorrow night. I was going to attend the meeting and talk about it again. So yeah, if we could give them first refusal on the ones that are good would be a good idea.
Commissioner Reeves, these are all in one central location at the old District 3 shop. When we took them out, we put them there, so it'll be easy to be able to farm them out from that location.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, we'll proceed with the consent docket. We've got the travel memorandum. Looks like a conference for some folks in the Revenue Department. And we'll proceed to personnel notifications. Notification of hire of Austin Cowan, engineer intern, to fill vacant position effective 8/7/17. Notification of termination of Christina Womble, tag clerk, effective 6/26/17. We'll proceed with the reports to the commission. We'll begin with the county administrator. Ms. McDuffie.
No report tonight, Chairman, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Highway Department.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, just a couple projects to update you on. The contractor is finishing up his work over the next couple days at Ingram Road at our 2 bridge replacement sites, and our crews are on standby to move in and start getting the approach work and get those sites ready to be paved. We're still on target to try to have those, weather permitting, open before school starts. We are also this week going to plan to attempt to do paving on Politic Road, weather permitting as well. I think we've got everything in a position to prep that and get that paved this week. That is a joint agreement with the town of Elmore, just to refresh everyone's memory. Once that's paved, that stretch of roadway will all be under the jurisdiction of the town of Elmore. Airport Road is our other project that's ongoing right now. That resurfacing is probably about a week and a half away from being completed, and then striping and all will push it till the end of the month. Again, weather permitting. I have to say that every time, because every time I tell y'all a time frame, we get 2 weeks of rain, and my phone will light up. But and then the last thing is we've got our countywide cleanup this Saturday, and I had several comments on social media over the weekend about people not knowing it wasn't this weekend. We've done our best since December to try to push the message out that this Saturday event and the one in September both are affected by the holiday weekends. And the way that holiday weekend affects is Advance pushes their regular pickup schedule back a day to make sure they get everybody's trash picked up a day after they normally are scheduled. So that puts trucks on the road on Saturday, and they don't have the trucks to do the countywide cleanup. So just as a reminder, that information's out there. I did see a lot of citizens pushing that stuff off the county website, pushing that out there to let people know. But unfortunately, we did still have on at least one site this morning, we had to go back and clean up where somebody just cleaned out more than a pickup truck load at the Holtville High School site. So we're trying to be very diligent about making sure those are cleaned up, because most of our sites are either public property or an entity that has allowed us to use the site. We want to be good hosts. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have in the way of report. Do y'all have any questions for me?
One thing I'd like to say, you and I went to a RPO meeting.
Yes, sir.
Which I thought was very good. Also, I'd like to say that I appreciate what your men do. They do a good job. You and I talk every day,
Yes, sir.
pretty much, you know. I think that, y'all do a good job, real good job.
One of the items at the RPO meeting that Commissioner Holt mentioned is a discussion about rural transportation, and I think that's an area that we need to do some more research on and work with Montgomery County and Carpdeck to see if there's some opportunities there. Talking about serving the elderly, disabled populations in terms of getting to doctor's appointments, things like that, where they don't have any other transportation means. So there's a lot of good discussion at that meeting that Commissioner Holt is discussing.
I appreciate your participation.
Thank you. All right, Eric Jones, EMA.
I've got several items I wanted to report on tonight that we're working on, Chairman and Commissioners. First of all, we're working on a plan update for our emergency operations plan. It's just an annual update that we do, and several of the annexes to the plan are being updated as well, and I'll be bringing that to y'all for approval in another couple of weeks. Also, we've been updating and working real hard on getting the county resource inventory updated. We're very close to completion on that. It has been a slower process than usual. I don't know what the problem is this year, but it's taken a long time to get the information in. We are also working on a couple of exercises. One is a exercise on a dam failure exercise with Harris Dam on the Tallapoosa River, and we're just about to kick off the planning for that. That will be in August 29th. Then we've also got a health department exercise which is related to the Strategic National Stockpile Program. It's August the 1st. It'll be a drill that we do in conjunction with the Department of Public Health. And then also the two projects that we've got that were funded through the Homeland Security Office through ALEA, we've just about gotten those completed. One of them was the surveillance camera system project with Central Elmore Water and Sewer, and then the other is the communications equipment for Santuck Volunteer Fire Department. We're like I say, we're just about complete with those projects. And then we've got a briefing on this year's funding, the Homeland Security funding through the State Homeland Security Grant Program. We've actually got a briefing later this week on this year's application period, and as soon as we get the details on that and the application for the departments and agencies to apply, we'll be getting that information out to y'all as well as all of the stakeholders and partner agencies that are eligible. But one last thing that I wanted to bring up that I think is kind of timely with tonight and a lot of the discussion tonight, but a major part of our role as a public safety agency in response is largely coordination and logistical support. Supporting those incident commanders out there in the field, whether it's the sheriff or a fire chief out in the field, and it involves those major incidents or incidents involving the coordination of resources that we don't have locally a lot of times. And last week on Tuesday evening, I met with the Fire Association leadership and several of the fire chiefs from across the county. They're working on developing an alarm structure, and to not sound like a broken record in public safety, but the fire service numbers are down as well. They're trying to find ways to rely on one another more so in mutual aid. And today we're seeing that a lot more. We're seeing a lot more departments relying on other and neighboring departments and jurisdictions. But they're really working hard to tackle the best way to keep from pulling all of the resources from one area and pull across the county. And they're doing this with technology. You know, public safety agencies are doing more to work through all of these shortage issues, and especially the numbers of shrinking volunteers in our volunteer fire service. But technology is playing a major role in this for us, but at the same time, we still got to have those people out there to do the job. But I just want to make you all aware of a major task. This is not easy. This is not an easy system to put in place when you're dealing with so many volunteer organizations. There are a lot of unknown variables in it, but they're really working hard to try to overcome this. And I just want to make you aware of those items that we're working on. Do y'all have any questions of me at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I spoke with Eric earlier about Central Elmore Water and Sewer, and I appreciate your work on that.
Thank you, sir.
I think you did a good job.
Thank you, sir. And Chairman, I did misspeak. The association meeting is Wednesday night, not tomorrow night. I apologize for that. Got my days crossed up.
Thank you. Proceed, County Attorney Jeff Courtney.
No, sir, I don't have a report tonight, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question. On the, two-lane properties, I think that we agreed a few months ago that we could try to sell that now or lease it. Is that not correct?
Our agreement a few months ago was for, to have our attorney, Jeff, seek a clear title on the property because of the age of the property and those things, and which would then give us a better understanding of what our options are. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I have spoken with the individuals that are helping us with that, and of course we've got to go back to the turn of a prior century, not just the last one, so it's taken a little bit of time to go through and make sure that's done, but I've been assured that that'll be completed this week.
My understanding was, Jeff, that we could talk to the two people that were interested, the City of Wetumpka and the Dullum House, and see if they were interested in buying the properties. And I thought that we were going to do the declaratory judgment if they didn't want us to do it with existing documents. Is that not right?
Well, the title work would have been needed prior to going through that process. We would need to take a look at the title and make sure it was correct. And again, I did check on that, and that should be completed this week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll proceed with the reports to the Commission. We'll begin with Commissioner Holt.
I'd just like to say I appreciate every one of you being here tonight, and appreciate your concern and coming out and listening to it. And I was with Richie at Carp Deck this week, and I appreciate you being here. I thought we had a good meeting, and I enjoyed it. And I'd like to say that I appreciate what all of our employees do, from the clerical employees down to the highway department employees. And we appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Daughtry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Commissioner Mercer and I had the opportunity last week to attend a two-day class sponsored by the Alabama Association of County Commissioners in Prattville regarding the role of the Sheriff's Department, the jail, and so forth. Very interesting class, 2 days there. I'd like to wish our chairman tonight a very happy birthday, and I'd like to publicly say how much I appreciate his leadership, his professionalism and proficiency, and the amount of time and effort that he puts into serving the taxpayers of Elmore County. And I could echo that about every commissioner up here. In the last 8 months, I've been privileged to serve in this body, and what I've experienced is a group of people working in harmony to do what's best for the citizens of Elmore County, and like-minded individuals who have that as their foremost goal. We're certainly not going to agree on everything in the future, but I am very confident that we can work things out and work in harmony to make this county a better place for all the citizens of Elmore County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Mercer.
Thank you, Chairman. One of the things that continues to be a very important topic to us and many citizens in the county is the lack of broadband access in our most rural areas. And sometimes we have found that it's not in our most rural areas. Sometimes we have found the lack of broadband access can be 10 feet, 20 feet, or half a mile down the road from where the end of the line is, and installing it is almost economically unfeasible for multiple reasons. But that continues to be an issue. Just wanted to update everyone and let you know that I am still working with ACETA. They are approaching this much like they would any other project, whether it be a retail need, retail opportunity we had in the county, or a industrial opportunity we would have, and making sure that any potential provider, investor, knows there is that customer base, availability for expansion, or whatever you like to refer to it as, here in Elmore County. And so we're hoping we'll work to one day where we can actually facilitate bringing that service to these underserved areas. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reeves?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jones and Mr. Byers, I would like for you there's a couple of roads. One is Wolf Road, Millbrook. The other one is Thrasher Drive. And what it is, these roads are dirt roads, and they own two different water systems. One is in Millbrook and one is in Wetumpka. And I think the Central Elmore, and what it is, a lot of people that live on the road have been talking to me about it. So I'd like for y'all to work together to see if we could get the water companies to maybe to put a plug or a fire plug down at the end of the road where these people could put their meters closer to the house and they can have better fire protection in case they have to, a fire truck have to come out. Because I think it's several people live on each one of those roads. So look into that for me if you want. And I just want to say I appreciate everybody coming to our commission meeting and to watch it to see what your elected officials are doing. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I just have a couple of notes. First, I saw today an announcement, and I'd like to commend our school system for being selected. Specifically, Wetumpka Elementary was selected today, one of 8 schools in the state of Alabama to participate in a pre-K through 3rd grade modification to the instructional programs, which my understanding is it will put those teachers and students in a more compatible group environment where there's some teaching going on collectively with the teachers. I don't want to say it's an experimental program. It's not experimental with our children. It's more of an exploratory opportunity and Wetumpka Elementary was identified as a school to do that. So I commend them and for their efforts and for all that they're doing within the school system. In addition to that, tomorrow night, reminder, I will be hosting a town hall at Mulder Church. That will begin at 6 p.m. And obviously all are invited. The topics of conversation will be some of the things that you heard here tonight, but also things very specific to District 3, some road and bridge projects and some other things going on there. So I would encourage you to encourage your friends and neighbors to participate in that. It will be a less formal setting than this. It will be an opportunity to have questions and answers and an opportunity for me to have a better understanding of the needs and wants of the citizens of Elmore County. So I look forward to being with the citizens at that meeting and look forward to having future opportunities like that at other areas across District 3. So we'll have more information on that probably in the next month or so. I'll announce for the rest of the year. So we'll proceed now with the important calendar dates.
As Rich already mentioned, this Saturday is going to be the countywide cleanup day from 9 to 1 at the locations listed. It was moved due to the holiday. The back-to-school sales tax holiday is coming up Friday, July 21st through Sunday, July 23rd, and our next commission meeting is on Monday, July 24th at 5 with the business meeting following.
Okay. And in case you're wondering, I'm 39 today. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. I'd like to welcome everybody back to the business portion of our meeting. We will begin with an invocation by Commissioner Mercer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Holt.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for allowing us to come here tonight, Lord, and serve our fellow citizens, Father. And Father, we hope we're in your will. We ask that you give us guidance. We ask you to continue to bless our county, protect over its citizens, our deputies, Lord, our sheriff, and we just ask you to take care of the people that serve our county as a whole, Father. Thank you for loving us. I ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Let's stand, please. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim, will you call roll, please?
Commissioner Holt,
Here.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Here.
Chairman Stubbs.
Here.
Commissioner Mercer.
Here.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, proceeding with regular business, there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 26, 2017 commission meeting as presented during the work session.
Motion?
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the memorandum of warrants for the period of June 8, 2017 through June 21, 2017?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Proceeding with new business, is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 2017 COPS hiring program grant application as presented by the sheriff?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
All right, is there a motion to approve the Tax Management Associates auditing contract and authorize chairman to execute?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
All right, proceeding with is there a motion to approve the lease agreement with the City of Wetumpka for the use of courthouse grounds for the Wetumpka River and Blues Festival on Friday, July 21, 2017, and authorize chairman to execute?
Motion approved.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
All right, motion to approve accepting the resignation of Gwendolyn Long from the Elmore County Economic Development Authority Board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve accepting resignation of Gwendolyn Long from the Elmore County Industrial Development Authority?
Motion approved.
Second.
Go ahead.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the budget amendments for the Wetumpka dispatch contract?
Motion approved.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve declaring old air conditioning units from courthouse as surplus and donating to the Elmore County Volunteer Firefighters and sell any remainder on govdeals.com?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the travel memorandum, the consent docket?
Motion?
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Proceeding with personnel notifications, notification of hire of Austin Cowan, engineer intern, fill vacant position, effective 8/7/17. Notification of termination of Christina Womble, tag clerk, effective 6/26/2017.
Motion?
We don't need a motion there, thank you.
We don't?
No.
Okay.
That's quite all right. All right, are there any additional reports to the commission? Y'all are letting me get home to my birthday cake, it looks like. All right. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
You say you was getting home,
Yeah, something about a birthday cake, I don't know, my daughter made
Motion to
one.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.